Hello, friends. Ken Graves here with GodSword. Back in the build, continuing as you can see, I still got a long way to go. A long way to go on this project. Not much time. And I'm not real fast. So this project will be going on for months more. But here we are in the 7th chapter of Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 7, verse 1. Now it happened that in the 4th year of King Darius, the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah on the 4th year of the 9th month, which is Chislev. And the town of Bethel sent Sharezer and Regilemic or Regilemic, I don't know. But they sent these two men and their men to entreat the favor of Yahweh, speaking to the priests who belonged to the house of Yahweh of hosts, and to the prophets, saying, shall I weep in the 5th month, and abstain as I have done these many years? And the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, speak to all the people of the land and to the priests, saying, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th month, these 70 years, was it actually for me that you fasted? So now there's a custom. They'd had this custom, a tradition they developed, to fast and to pray, to entreat the favor of Yahweh. They're asking the question, should we continue? It's in some way. Now, they're back. These are part of the remnant that has returned, land of promise, promised land. But still, it seems like a strange question. Partly because they're not all back, and partly because they're every bit as prone to idolatry and violations of the covenant that could get them again cast out of the land. It seems like New Testament teaching calls us to a certain perpetual brokenness. Sermon on the Mount, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness. They're asking about a tradition. But it seems to me legitimate to continue a worthy tradition of fasting and prayer, but even the tradition itself. Yahweh confronts them through this answer that he gave to Zechariah. Was it actually for me that you fasted? And when you eat and when you drink, are you not eating for yourselves? And are you not drinking for yourselves? Are not these words which Yahweh called out by the hand of the former prophets, when Jerusalem was inhabited and at ease along with its cities around it, and the Negev and the Shephelah were inhabited? So before the Babylonians came and conquered, that period where God's prophets warned, excuse me, and even though they were blessed and prosperous as a people, they ignored all those warnings. Verse 8, then the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah, saying, thus has Yahweh of hosts said, judge with true justice and show loving kindness and compassion each to his brother. And do not oppress the widow or the orphan, the sojourner or the afflicted. Do not devise evil in your hearts against one another. But they refused to give heed and turned a stubborn shoulder and dulled their ears from hearing. And they made their hearts diamond hard, so that they could not hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts had sent by his Spirit by the hand of the former prophets. And therefore great wrath came from Yahweh of hosts. And it happened just as he called, and they would not listen. So they called, and I would not listen, says Yahweh of hosts. When I scattered them with a storm wind among all the nations whom they have not known. And thus the land is desolate behind them, so that no one was passing through and returning, for they made the pleasant land desolate. So it may seem, I don't know, like it's just a review of the history. But to those who ask, should we still fast? Should we continue this tradition? Yahweh had responded, well, you weren't doing it for me anyway. Was it really for me? When you eat and drink, is it not for yourselves? And the word came again, and he reminded them, this is your obligation. So more important than the fasting, more important than this tradition, how you do business every day, judge with justice and show loving kindness and compassion each to his brother. God is watching their interaction. God was watching how they conducted themselves, how they did business. And he is watching how they as a people treated the widow, the orphan, and the stranger, the foreigner, those who've come to find a home among them. Again, these days, it has to be said, there's a difference between stranger, immigrant, who's trying to get established, is trying to find a home among them, versus an invader. And that, I'm afraid, modern America has absolutely forgotten, at least some. Well, on one hand, I'm all, I am with all of those who say we need to protect our borders, that we need to control and know who is entering. It's a matter of public safety. It's a matter of being lawful. But at the same time, we must welcome, know the difference between an enemy invader, versus the law-abiding, legal immigrant who is looking for a better way of life. Welcome them. God is watching. We still have an obligation to the desperate poor that come. They got to come the right way. There's no question. But anyway, on that, the widow, the orphan, and the stranger, God is watching. How do we treat those who have no one to protect them? How do we treat those who are vulnerable, as the widow in that culture was, the orphan, the fatherless? God is watching, and this matters more than their tradition. They want God's favor, and this is the answer from Yahweh. You want my favor? Well, treat one another right. Do justice. Show loving kindness. Do not oppress. Especially these three groups of people: the widow, the orphan, or the sojourner, or the afflicted. Don't plot against each other. He said, but they, the previous generation, they refused. They just wouldn't listen. They turned a stubborn shoulder, dulled their hearts from hearing. So here, there are those, I suppose, who just get all wrapped up in, all right, how do I say this? The old question is, who is hardening the hearts of people? Who softens it? See, there's a reality that sometimes in Scripture, like with Pharaoh, God would harden Pharaoh's heart. There's another reality, as it is portrayed right here. They hardened their hearts. We're obligated to soften our heart. We have some degree of influence over some degree of volition connected to the condition of our heart. And he held them accountable for their hard hearts. So they could not hear the law, or the words which Yahweh the host had sent by his Spirit at the hand of the former prophets. And that's why such consequences came upon them as their conquest of the Babylonians and their captivity, great wrath. It happened, God said, just as he called and they wouldn't listen, so they called and he would not listen. They were scattered. The land was desolate as a result. So he will continue in chapter 8, but that's our focus for today. Again, it is a reality. It should be for us an acknowledged reality that we have an obligation to affect our own heart, and we can. We cannot sort of blame the hardness of our heart on God or get sort of fatalistic. It's a reality that we must soften, that we must hearken. They hardened their hearts like a diamond. They made their hearts diamond hard, and so they could not hear. If we don't keep a soft and humble heart, we likewise will come to the place where we do not hear or heed the voice of God. So let us guard against that. That's our study for today. Any questions or comments, send them to CC, it's for Calvary Chapel, Bangor.org. And I am grateful for all of you who take the time to write your encouraging messages and let me know that you are grateful for this. Thank you. I've certainly heard from many, and always surprises me, actually. All right, well, I got to get back to work. Grace and peace to you all.